The 89th Texas legislature is in full swing. Thousands of bills have been filed and are making their way through the process. With so much going on, important policy can often get overlooked, even on critical legislation. That's why we've asked legislators to come to TPPF to discuss their bills to make sure you are on top of the most important issues making their way through the Texas Capitol. This is The Layout. I'm Andrew Brown, Vice President of Policy with the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Today we are discussing House Bill 2216 and Senate Bill 620 with Representative Lacey Hull from House District 138 and Senator Kevin Sparks from Senate District 31. Chair Hull and Senator Sparks, welcome to The Layout.
Good to be here.
Now,
Thank you.
You've both long been champions of protecting families and reforming child protective services, and your bills build on the success that Texas has had with recent changes in law that are proving effective at keeping kids with their families and keeping them safe. Tell us what you're trying to accomplish with this legislation.
I'm so excited about this bill. The goal is to raise the standards for all Texas families. So currently, all Native American children have what we call the gold standard, and that is what we want to apply to all Texas families for them to all receive the gold standard within child protective services.
Mm-hmm. And you said the gold standard. You're referring to something called the Indian Child Welfare Act, which is a federal law that sets policies and practices for how Child Protective Services intervenes with Native American children. Tell us a little bit more about ICWA and why you think it should apply to all Texas children.
Yeah, so in 1978, the federal government had to get involved because Native American families were being ripped apart at a very high rate. So the federal government got involved to establish ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, and it is a much higher standard and burden of proof on removals, termination of parental rights, and then the efforts that the department has to engage in when they are involved with a family. And we are just saying that, yes, those Native American families do deserve those rights, and so do all Texas families.
And Senator Sparks, part of the bill is changing that standard, the effort that CPS has to put into preventing removals and reuniting kids with their families. It's raising it from reasonable efforts to something called active efforts. Can you explain what active efforts means and how it differs from the current standard?
Sure. So active efforts is a much higher standard from the standpoint of working with the families. You're not just immediately removing those children. The goal is to try and help those families find services. So you're not just referring them to different services. You're actually required to help them find different services that will strengthen families and improve some of the issues that CPS has addressed.
So it's less of, hey, here's a list of people to call, and more of, let me help you connect with these service providers that can help you address the issues.
That's exactly right. You know, many of these families are already in situations where they're under duress. And so this idea of we're going to give them a list of folks that they can contact, and they'll be able to follow through with all of those steps. Sometimes it's unrealistic because they just need that additional assistance to get them connected to things that, you know, they may have lack of access to transportation and different things like that would make it challenging to maneuver the system or work through the system to find those resources.
How will your bills improve the lives of Texas families once they've been passed and implemented?
Oh, I think it will be a huge, drastic improvement for the families that come into contact with Child Protective Services. With much more engagement from the department, and especially on the active efforts front, I think it'll be dramatically different, and we will see these families have services that are more tailored to their needs, and families that are being kept together more when that is the safest possible option. I think we will just see dramatically better outcomes.
Yeah, the reality is, if we can strengthen families, and we've got other legislation this session that is kind of set to help give more resources and strengthen families. If we can strengthen families, we build better communities, more higher functioning communities, and ultimately you'll see the price tag of taking care of dysfunctional people go down.
Yeah, we often hear people talk about we have to get further upstream. We have to get further upstream to prevent kids from falling into the system. It really seems like this is the ultimate bill for getting upstream, would you say?
I would say that this is a great step in the right direction. And, statistics will tell you that once a child has been removed from the home, even one time, even if they go back into the home, statistically they are at higher risk of being incarcerated, or having problems down the road.
Now, every bill is not without folks who come out and raise concerns and questions, and some people say that it's not feasible to meet these higher standards because Texas simply doesn't have enough services and resources available for these families. How do you respond to that objection?
Well, there's a couple things. One, if we don't start somewhere, we will never start. And so we are just saying that as of now, for the department to operate within their means, and they can do these active efforts. We know that they can. And we have received mostly positive feedback on this bill. There has been some negative, but I would say that overall it is from, saying that they can't meet the burden of the evidence to I guess, prevent a removal or cause a removal. And my statement to that is, well, we see now, even within ICWA, Native American children are still removed at the highest rates out of all American children. So we know that ICWA is not preventing removals. There is still the evidence to remove the children when that is what is safe and necessary. And so I think this is going to be a great bill for so many Texas families.
What feedback have you received since filing the bill?
Well, I mean, obviously, there are those who feel like that the cost is going to be too high to bear, right? And again, I would answer that with, we either pay now or we pay later, and the most humane thing to do is to invest those dollars into these families at this point. I would also say that a lot of our communities have these services, and so we're not trying to create a bunch of new infrastructure, although we've got other bills that are trying to attract the type of services to Texas that we need, not just for foster care, but for all mental health and medical as well. We just have so many people moving to Texas that all of that stuff is highly in need. But this is specifically going to try and help those families at least have an opportunity to access some of those services that gives them an opportunity to stay together as a family.
That's great. Well, Chair Hull, Senator Sparks, these are great pieces of legislation, and we're really grateful to you all for joining us for the layout.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to add that, Justice Blacklock, during his State of the Judiciary, said how the termination of parental rights is like the civil death penalty. And so we need to do everything possible that is in our power to make sure that when it is safe, that families are kept together. And that's why we have parental rights advocates and attorneys from all over the state coming out to support these bills.
And it's a diverse background of organizations from the left and the right coming together to support these bills. And that tends to be a pretty positive marker of good legislation.
Kind of shows it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all very much for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.